What is going on, everybody? This is Plan Your Greatness TV, and I am your gracious host, Carlton Hamilton. And let's get started today. Today, we're going to take a break this week. So today is, I believe, is Wednesday. We are going to take a break this week, and we're not going to talk about the book. But I'm going to, I'm going to remind you that you could go to Amazon and get this book, Plan Your Greatness. This is the original. It's a nice little decent read. Then we have How to Plan Your Greatness. We'll have that book. I'm got my hands right here, but the book is going to be like right there. And then we also have, all these are on Amazon. This is Fair Exchange, Conversations with an Uber Driver. Some great stories in there. You can get all those books on Amazon, but this week we're taking a little bit of a break. Wednesday and Friday, I was going to do, and the reason why I'm taking this break is because I actually did something this prior weekend, because I usually always do my content on Sunday. Then these videos come out on Wednesday and then Friday. So it gives me some time to make the videos and then edit the content and then send it out on Wednesday. Well, I had something to do on Sunday that I knew I wasn't going to be able to close my store. And, somebody I'm going to be meeting with, we're going to be talking. I knew we were going to be talking into the evening. So that's why I knew I wasn't going to have the regular time on my Sunday to create the content. So I'm doing it a little early so I can get it out. And these are going to be shorter. These are not going to be chapters within the book. This is today. And on Friday is going to be two topics, something that was just on my mind. And I wanted to just talk about it a little bit. It'll be much shorter than my other videos. But more specifically, the title of this one is called The American Dream Formula. Because I've been seeing online a lot of people talking about how disgusted they are, especially that now we're in a political season. So you've got people on the right, you've got people on the left. And what's amazing is you've got people on the right that aren't doing very well. You've got people on the left that aren't doing very well. But the common thing that they are upset with is what they perceive to be the opportunities available to them here in America, and they're blaming it on the system, the government, all kinds of different things. And they're saying that American dream that my great-grandfather, my grandfather, my father, the opportunities they had, they are not here for us. I agree, but I disagree with that. I agree that there's a lot of things have changed. A lot of opportunities have moved on. But think of it this way. And I'm gonna go back a little bit. When slavery ended in 1863, when it ended on paper, and then 1865 is when Juneteenth hit. Supposedly that was when it had reached, I guess, the last part of the development of America in 1865, where it reached, I forgot what part of Texas. I'll probably put that information up there in a little box or something. But 1865 was when slavery ended. Now, there's some documentation that says there were a couple of counties in the South that were some of the wealthiest and the most powerful counties in America and rivaling places in the world as far as how much revenue they were generating and production that they in these particular counties in the South. Those same counties today are some of the poorest counties. So how do you account for that? I'm not trying to get in any racial or anything. This is going to be when we're talking about the American dream as far as understanding what you need to do. And I'm going to bring those into the conversation here. But here's what we're looking at. How do you go from some of the wealthiest counties in the country and in the world? Now, we know what that had to do with. That had to do with that free labor that they were getting and what they were producing and the demand of cotton and other products and stuff that they were having the slaves do the work there. Okay, so they was making money hand over fist. They didn't have to pay for insurance, even though they paid for meals and all the other stuff like that. It isn't anything close to what a company has to pay a full-time employee. No overtime or anything. All right. So think about that. Then all of a sudden slavery ends. These same counties are now some of the poorest in the country. And again, how does that happen? Simple mathematics tells you they didn't have that free labor anymore. But more importantly, this is something that I did when I was in college. One of the last projects I did in college was studying the south to north migration of black folks up to St. Louis, Chicago, Milwaukee, Cincinnati, Detroit. Blacks were going up north because they understood that what they were doing in the South, they were not going to do that anymore. But they still needed to support their families. Now think about this. Just think about this ideology of the slave. The slave says, oh, I'm not doing that anymore, but I need to go where the jobs are. So what do? I go up to the northern cities. I have families. There's manufacturing. Chicago has the meat packing plants, the rail yards, and construction, all that other stuff. Blacks are flying up to all these cities that are now developing because the country is now being more open. It isn't just concentrated in the South or on the Eastern Seaboard. There's a lot of stuff going on in the Midwest. America is now expanding out west. So these blacks are going up to where the country is growing. The country is growing from east to west. And so they're cutting through the Midwest, which is where a lot of the jobs and the growth is going out west. So then my question with that is, why didn't the whites do the same thing? Why didn't the whites? Because there's a lot of whites that are still in some of these very poor places. They didn't move. So when you make that comparison to the American dream, America has moved. America has advanced. Things have changed domestically in America, and things have changed globally in the world. So if you're complaining, which I've seen these videos, these individuals are complaining about opportunities and jobs. Now, granted, there are some people out there. I saw a guy that was an engineer or something. He was complaining about jobs. I would look at that one and say, well, you're probably just not marketing yourself well. You probably just think you just sit there, you got a degree, and you're just sitting on your butt, and you think somebody's just going to call you just because you have a degree. No, you have to activate that degree. A degree is only as valuable as what you do or what you make it do for you. So again, got my little notes here. This brings me to the complaints people are having about the American dream. Where's my thing? Okay, I say there's a formula to be successful in America and taking advantage of the American dream. This goes for everybody, but more specifically, I see a lot of people that don't look like me online complaining about the opportunities and where they've gone. Okay, one of the first things that I think of is a quote that I heard from somebody. I can't remember where I heard it from, but it says, "Solve your problems." I do know. I'm gonna put his name up in here. I'm not gonna mention it now, but I'm gonna put it up in there, and maybe even a link to where this guy, because I like his content. But he said, "Solve your problems, sell the solutions." To me, that's one of the first mindsets you have to have. If you're complaining about things not going your way or things missing, or you feel opportunities have been taken away from you, please look at the landscape of America, look at the landscape of the world, and say to yourself, what are the problems that are directly affecting me? And how can I solve them? I had this conversation about using the word how with somebody that came in the store, because my store, like my business partner said, it is a portal. People come up in there and they have conversations, and they have no idea who I am, whether they don't recognize I'm the owner or anything, but they start bringing up topics. And specifically, if people start bringing up topics on where they're complaining about something going on, I said, okay, that sounds like that's a problem that you're having. Okay, So instead of complaining about what's going on, how about you ask yourself, how can you solve that problem? And if you solve that problem to a level of mastery, you get to now sell that solution. So again, solve your problems, sell the solutions. Now the next one is this is a kind of a three-tiered answer. And I say this specifically to males because I say this to my son. My son has a good job now, and I'm glad he's settled into that job. But the conversation that I had with him, and I still have with him, and I have this with any other young male that's in his early 20s, I always say, what you need to do is look at life as far as acquiring skills in this area. One, if you go to college, by the time you're 30, you should have mastery in something that you could actually put on a webinar, literally charge a fee for what you know. Okay, so if you go the education route, meaning if you have a mastery level of something, whether it's through education, and in my opinion, if you're going to go the education route, I say unless you're in one of those highly desirable fields, then you better go all the way through and you better get a doctorate degree. Because if you're getting a degree in history or anything like that, those are not specifically or don't have the value that, say, an engineering degree, an architectural degree, economics, accounting, mathematics, the medical field, law, teaching. You see what I'm saying? So there's like 8 or 9 degree areas. And when you talk about economics and mathematics, all those things can kind of fall under business. Those have value out in the marketplace. And if you don't go that route in school, you go to a trade school, HVAC, HVAC, air conditioning, welding, electrical, carpentry. You see what I'm saying? Heavy crane operating repair, machinery repair, motorcycles, cars. If you go into one of those, which I call dexterity of the mind and dexterity of your hands, if you go into any one of those areas, you'll never be worried about work. And I can almost guarantee you, the individuals that are online complaining about the American dream is dead and everything, I would say probably 98% of those people, 99% of those people don't have any of those skill sets. I challenge you. But somebody would come on here, hey man, I got this skill set over here, and I said, well then go do like them blacks did from slavery. Go move to an area where that skill is in demand. Don't sit in a place where you have a skill set and it's not in demand in that place. Be mobile, look around the world, or at least look around your state, and if not your state, your region, West Coast, East Coast, North, South, and look where that skill is in demand. Don't sit over here and because Donald Trump talking about he's going to open up the coal mines. He ain't done that. And we ain't going back to coal. This isn't the 1800s. So go where those jobs are in demand. Okay, so that's if you're going to school. Number 2 is a skill, and I mentioned that before. You go get yourself a skill. HVAC, carpentry, electrical, welding, plumbing. Name me a city where those skill sets are not required. There isn't one. I don't care what they talk about with AI or anything, the dexterity of doing plumbing and the electrical work and all that stuff, it cannot be done by a machine. You will always need the dexterity of the mind and the dexterity of your hands to get in there and do the nuances and the intricacies of that. That is never going away. So number 2, again, if you're going to go that route, you've got a couple of options. You go and you get the mastery level certifications in that to the point where you could actually teach a course. And coming back to that, and I'll get to that a little bit later on, is then you could turn that into a business if you're at that level. Okay, so number 1, if you're going to go the traditional school route, get that PhD. If you're not going to go the traditional school route, go to school and learn a trade. Those will always be in demand. Okay, number 3, that would be either get educated, jump in the corporate space, and try to zoom up that ladder. If you're not going to go into the corporate space, education, you could jump into the corporate space, because I'm seeing now, and I know Google, I think Google and Facebook and all these tech companies, they set the standard where they said, I don't need somebody with a college degree. I just need somebody that knows how to do what this job requires to be done. And I'm glad they did that, because that we can go down a whole rabbit hole talking specifically about why degrees were brought into play. It was to give you a different skill set, but we also know it was a way of weeding out people of color, and it was weeding out poor people, because they did not have the money to go to school. Now we've got scholarships, and then just people learning now, because technology is so readily available. People are learning these skills online. So again, if you're going to go the education route, maximize that and get your PhD or at least master's level, and then now you can start cooking with grease and demanding the jobs in some of these specific fields. If you're not going to go that route, then you're going to go the route of a trade. Those are always in demand. I don't care where you are on the planet. If you know electrical work, if you know carpentry, if you know welding, if you know HVAC, you know plumbing, you will always have a job. You will not be online complaining about the American dream ain't no good. They will find you. If somebody, think about this. If somebody's plumbing is backed up, how much is your expertise worth? They don't know how to turn it off or whatever, or your AC in Arizona, your AC goes out. How valuable is your skill? Or you're in Chicago in the winter and you got heating knowledge. How valuable is your skill? Priceless. Okay. Number 4, that is, you do one or two things. You either create something, develop something that hasn't been used before, or you become the middleman like what I did. I don't make any of the items manufactured. I don't blow glass. I don't roll any of the stuff that's in my smoke shop. But what I have done, I saved up enough money, or you leverage yourself in that position where you become the middleman. I've even given people this game before. Okay, look at what I do. Okay, I bought a smoke shop. I am full owner of this smoke shop. I am the middleman. I marketed and created advertising to get customers to know where we are, so they come and buy the product in the store. All I do is go to a larger warehouse, buy the items, I place them in my store, I mark them up so I can get the profit off of the work that I'm doing to set up this store, and I have just become the middleman of the manufacturers or the growers of some of the products in there. Whatever warehouse they have that's making this stuff. I have just leveraged myself in the middle as becoming the middleman. And so when a customer comes in and buys something, they pay the difference. That goes into my pocket. Now, I've told people, I said, look, all you have to do is wedge yourself in the middle of what I'm doing. You know that I need to go buy stuff from the warehouse. And the warehouses are way on the other side of town. I said, all you'd have to do is go around to every one of these smoke shops and tell them, hey, I could be your delivery man. I'll make sure that I buy the stuff. I can come over here once a week, every Monday, take your order, and I'll have your order here by the end of the day. Or I come in on Sunday, which is typically the slow day. I could come in on Sunday. Hey, you doing inventory? And think about this. If I were to hit 10 stores, and I go and get all of their products, that owner doesn't have to drive anywhere, just 10 stores. And I charge $30 for the delivery. That's it, just $30 for the delivery. And I do 10 stores, that's $300 a day. If you do the math on that, $300 a day, $100 a day is $36,000 a year. $200 a day, and you do that all the time, that's 72 or something like that. And then if you do $300 a day, you're making over 6 figures. I said that's easy. Now just think about that, and then increments. You can go up to $45 per customer or $50 per customer. A business would be willing to pay that because that person would say, I don't have to drive on the other side of town. I don't have to spend any time. I could take my time and think about how I can grow this business, as opposed to taking 2, sometimes 3 hours out of my day. Because I'm telling you, that's how much it takes me. It takes me at least, let's say it takes me at least an hour and a half to 2.5 hours to get over on the other side of town, do the shopping, bring everything over to this side of town, put everything up on the shelves on display, and then advertise what new stuff I have. Now, that's literally about a 3-hour cycle. You've eliminated that, and you go, how much is my time worth? So if I were to assign somebody to do that, they go do my shopping, bring the stuff to my store, and I pay them $15, and it took them all that together doing that, because they would probably be able to go in there and have a van and shop for a bunch of stores and all the other stuff. I'm basically paying them $15 an hour. I could pay them $20 an hour to do that, $60. And if a person does that $60 times 10 stores, that's $600 a day. You do the math. And that person does that 1 day a week, but you can kind of stretch it out. You're saying that person is doing that 1 or 2 days a week. They making all their deliveries for the store. Sometimes they may be a slow week. We don't really need anything, but at least every other week, let's say we split that. Every other week, that person is getting $300 from 10 stores. That's a nice little chunk of change that you can do right in the middle of what I'm doing. You're not creating anything. You're not manufacturing anything. You're just using your brain to say, okay, what does that person need? What can I provide? And I can make some money off of that. Okay? So either create something, manufacture something, think of something, some new gadget, whatever. You do that. Number 2, you just become the middleman. So I'm on here because I've about had it with all these people complaining about there's no opportunities here in America, the American dream. And I the first thing I always want to ask is, what is your skill set? What can you do? What's your education level? What specific degree did you get it in? Because again, people go, well, I have a college degree. Unfortunately, I've seen women that are notorious for that online. Oh, I have this degree, but they don't tell you what their degree is. I'm waiting for them to drop on the message or something to say exactly what their degree is. But because they don't say what their degree is, I know, honestly, in most cases, that's a bullshit ass degree. It's not in demand in the global marketplace. So now you're sitting over here wanting somebody to give you a job that you're really not qualified for. You don't have anything that sticks out that makes you in demand. We allow too many kids to go to college and to pick out degrees, and they've not even analyzed the landscape of what is available or got me smoking on here just talking about this, because I'm like, why did you go and get that degree? You didn't do any research on that. You did not do any, and there's Google right out there. Why didn't you Google and say, what is this degree going to get me? And I get it. And I'm kind of biting on another conversation, is that you want a job that does not require a lot of really work. These marketing degrees and all that stuff. I'm like, come on, man. Marketing is the psychology of business. So really what you want is you want some business to hire you, and you sit there behind some desk really having to think of these marketing campaigns and all that stuff. I said that time is gone. Companies like me sitting over here making this content and doing all this editing and stuff like that, I don't need some marketing company. I could do all this stuff myself. And companies are realizing they can outsource that stuff. They can go find somebody on Fiverr to do that stuff. They say, why am I going to hire you and pay you $70,000, $80,000 when I can actually go on I can go on to Fiverr or Upwork. I can go on one of them sites and I can hire somebody, have them do a full layout marketing campaign and all the other stuff like that, and I can pay them $1,000, $2,000. Let's say I go all out. I pay them $10,000. I done saved myself $70,000. And I got a campaign that I'm going to utilize for my business and probably going to bring me in millions of dollars. Come on. So you've got to be smart about what you are doing, because I think this whole American dream is dead and everything. I said we've got too many people online that are lazy, that are complaining. And if you want to jump in the comments and talk about, well, I ain't complaining, I go, well, then I'm not talking about you. But there's a bunch of people out there that have not put the work in, that have not read anything, they've not taken any courses. You working in some warehouse, you sick of working in the warehouse, you wiping people's asses at some group home, or you mopping the floor as an orderly at some hospital, you're bagging groceries, you're stocking shelves at Walmart. So you're doing all these jobs that they can replace you in a snap of a finger. You don't have a skill that the marketplace is asking for, that is in demand for. But you want to complain to the world. You know, set up your camera and all that stuff. You want to complain to the world. And I am one of the last individuals to hear that. I got out of prison with absolutely nothing. And I sat and I thought and I said, how can I move myself up through this? I'll say that I said this in one of my other videos. When I got out, one of the things that I said to myself was, I am going to spend the rest of my life trying to figure this thing out. If you're online, listen to me, all you that are out there complaining, look at me right in my eyes. If you are online complaining about how the world is unfair, on how the American dream is dead, you're out here wasting time. Because just like I said, I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to figure this out. If you're online complaining that you don't think that there's opportunities out there, you're not trying to figure this out. You would rather stop, turn your camera on, bitch and moan at everything, and then hope that something is going to come out of that. I've told my kids this all the time. I said, complaints only state the obvious, that there is a problem and now you need to resolve it. Going online and producing content, complaining about how you don't think there's opportunities out there, when as you get up every day and start walking out there, there's people that were probably in worse situations than you. They were in prison, they did this, they came from bad home environments and all that other stuff. But they're not online complaining because you know what? They know you online complaining, and while you're complaining, they're literally walking right past you to an opportunity, or they're sitting there like this, trying to create an opportunity or thinking of a better opportunity. So now, I'll end it like this. If you are online making content, complaining about how you feel about the American dream, I will say this: you are absolutely not planning your greatness. All right? Because this is a channel for people who are trying to plan their greatness. All right? I'm going to leave you with what I leave you with every time I'm on here. I thank you all for joining me. Please get in the comments, like, subscribe, share. Go on to Amazon, find this book. Go on to Amazon, find this book, Fair Exchange, or get my other one, which I don't have with me. I left it at the store, but I'm going to put a little picture up here. That one is the How to Plan Your Greatness. And again, I'm going to leave you with what I leave you with every week that I'm on here, and that is plan your greatness. Don't be complaining on here, because that's not planning your greatness. You know why? Because no one else will. I will see you all next time.